just want to analyze what causes my anxiety, how to overcome my anxiety, how to calm myself down. And I want to, so today I decided to make a video essay about anxiety. I have a few notes here on my laptop, so hopefully it will help us. It will help us overcome this horrible experience, right? Oh my god. Firstly, I just want to talk about how anxiety works. It is basically an alarm system of our body. It is one of the strangest experiences human body can produce. You can be sitting in your bedroom, being in elevator, in a car, at school, right, at work, and you will feel this sudden change in your body. Your heart is racing, your stomach hurts, you are dizzy, you have a headache, you feel unreal, right? You have deep realization, and you are detached from reality. You are only focused on your body response. So nothing dangerous is actually happening, but you do feel those symptoms. And actually, when doctors say it is just anxiety, you come and you say, well, I have this and that, and they say it's just anxiety. Sometimes it is really just anxiety. People don't understand that. So when doctors say anxiety, it doesn't mean your symptoms are not real. They are real, but they are caused by anxiety. So it is actually the problem, because your thoughts, right, your anxiety, your thoughts trigger and fears. Thoughts and fears, they trigger anxiety, and the anxiety triggers all the body responses, right? There are a lot of them. I know you all know them. So this mechanism of anxiety, it's a biological survivor system. These are the same mechanisms that helped human escaped predators, or detect danger, right? But the problem is that those, we don't have this type of danger anymore. We don't need to escape predators, right? We don't live amongst the wolves or tigers or lions. So we don't need it. Unfortunately, right now, our systems find different things dangerous, and it is different for every person. For example, someone is scared of going out. Somebody is scared of being sick. Somebody is scared of talking, like giving public speeches. We are all different. One thing that you have to understand is anxiety is supposed to protect you. Fear and anxiety are very, very closely related, but they are not the same. Fear usually appears in response to an immediate threat. For example, you are about to be hit by a car, right? It's spinning towards you. So fear helps our body react instantly. And you are scared. What if I get hit? It's like this. But anxiety is different. It is more future oriented. What if? If you ask yourself, situations, regulate emotional responses, and determine whether a threat is actually meaningful. Other brain regions are involved in monitoring the internal state of body, anticipating uncertainty, and coordinating the physical stress response. Our brain constantly is constantly working, right? So it thinks, is this situation safe? Have I experienced something similar before? What is likely to happen next? What are the sensations in my body, right? So the problem is in our amygdala, the first one, right? So for example, let's say you felt sick in an elevator one time, right? You felt like you didn't have enough air to breathe. For example, you got scared. Let's say you had a panic attack, right? Amygdala remembers this. This is the pattern. Amygdala thinks, your brain thinks, okay, elevator equals bad, equals danger, equals don't go there. If you go take an elevator, something bad is going to happen, because it happened to me one time, so it's going to happen again, right? And this is how our brain works, you know. And a very good solution to that is therapy. Therapy is the best solution, especially the exposure therapy. For example, again, let's say you are afraid of the elevator. You have to find out why. You need to understand the root of your problem, right? Not just take some pills. You have to understand what causes the symptoms. For example, maybe you are scared of being trapped, right? But because the elevator is the only place where you get like trapped, this is the response of your body, right? So exposure therapy helps people. If you don't know what exposure therapy is, it's basically your therapist tells you, okay, you are afraid of, again, elevator. The first thing that I want you to do is to push a button. Just push a button. You feel a little anxious. The next thing, you like come in and come out. Okay, you know, it's not that scary to be there for a little bit. Then wait until the door closes, or like be in an elevator with somebody, you know, with your close friend or relative, and eventually you level up and you finally can use an elevator, right? So it's very simple. Actually, it's very simple. Next, let's talk about how this alarm reaches the body and how we react to that. It is when the brain detects a possible threat, it activates the attention response is about being, looking around the environment. The next thing is digestion. Why does it slow down? Why do you feel like you need to, why do we have nausea, stomach pains and all of that? Because when our brain detects danger, this is not the time to digest food. This is the time to fight, flight, freeze. If you see a bear, what is more, temporarily more important, to fight back or digest your lunch? Of course, your digestive system will stop for working very, very actively for a little bit temporarily, so you can fight this bear, and when it's done, it's going to come back. So when you have anxiety, you have all those symptoms, and actually, if you analyze your responses, you can think about it. Why do I have this? Why do I have that? For example, you may get dizzy. Why do you get dizzy? Because you may not notice this, but if you have this dizziness, take a minute and and watch yourself, analyze your body. So actually dizziness you get dizziness from hyperventilation. Basically, you breathe in too much. So let me explain. For example, when you get anxious, your breathing often changes without you noticing, right? And you can breathe more quickly and deeper. So it is called the breathing problem. So it's not that you don't have enough oxygen. Actually, it's the opposite. There is the thing, one component in your lungs, in your system, that is called carbon dioxide, which is considered bad, right? It's not just a waste product. No. It helps regulate blood chemistry and your blood flow, right? If carbon dioxide's levels fall too much, several uncomfortable symptoms can occur. For example, you can get lightheaded. You may have tingling in your hands, for example, or in your face, or in your legs. You can get discomfort in your chest, for example. Dizziness, a sense of unreality, right? You feel like you are lost in this, and you are scared of it in a moment, right? And these sensations are frightening. So what is the person doing? What does our brain do? For example, you think of something. What if you get, imagine there are 3 blocks. I'm going to explain it like this. Imagine there are 3 blocks. The first block is your thoughts. Those what if thoughts. For example, you think, what if I get sick? What if I get sick, right? What if I have cancer? What if I have a heart attack? Whatever, right? The second block, it's about your hormones. For example, serotonin and dopamine drops, right? More adrenaline, more cortisol. So all those bad things, they rise, which makes you more nervous, which makes you more anxious muscle spasms, tension in your muscles, whatever you mean it, you name it. So imagine a person thinks, what if I get sick? The next, all these 3 blocks work, and the person gets dizzy. For example, the person thinks, what if I have a brain tumor? For example, something like they feel a little bit dizzy and like, why do I have a brain tumor? All this process works and they get more dizzy. And this is where it all comes back. The person is like, wow, I'm very dizzy. What if I have brain cancer? So it goes back. 1, 2, 3 and back. 1, 2, 3 and back. So if a normal, very, stable person thinks, oh, I'm a little dizzy, maybe I didn't sleep well, oh, my hands are shaking, maybe I had too much coffee. But the anxious person will think, what if I have this, what if I had that, oh my god, what if, and blah blah blah. We are all, me too, I am the same. So, but actually nothing is wrong. If something was wrong, you would notice. And then you become afraid of your body. A lot of people start, I don't know, measure their temperature, or blood pressure, or oxygen level. A lot of things, like they get obsessed with their health. So what else can I say? Let's talk about panic attacks. This is obviously what I just told you. You get one symptom, 1, 2, 3 again, 1, 2, 3 again. So you are in this loop, you are stuck in a loop, and it's very hard to come back. That's why panic attacks are so severe. Sometimes, they feel severe. And this is where we need to, oh, and again, there is an interpretation, like I'm going to faint, I'm losing control, I can't breathe, I'm going to die, because we all have a fear of dying, even if you say I don't. I used to say that, but if you think about it, if you are about to die, of course you are scared, you don't know what, you are not prepared for this, you don't know what is going to happen. So there are a lot of warning signs from our brain to help us. Anxiety is actually not a bad thing. It is our alarm system. It helps us see the danger and all of that. But sometimes, let's imagine the kitchen is our body and the fire alarm is our anxiety. For example, you burn toast, the fire alarm goes off. So the next thing, maybe you are just boiling water, it goes off again. restroom because it's too small. So the list just keeps growing, right? So if your brain thinks avoidance keeps me safe, you have to deal with it. You have to do something. When you get the first sign, this is where it's actually very easy to cure your anxiety. That's why some people cure it very easily, but some people they avoid the train, for example, and they still they don't get anxiety because of that. But eventually it will keep growing, you know. First one is a train avoided. The next one is all public transport. The next one is all the crowded places. The situations far from home. You know, it keeps growing. And how our brain learns something is safe because exposure therapy. You don't have to go to a therapist if you don't have much money or something like that. You can learn it yourself, right? Exposure therapy, just use, I don't know, ChatGPT or Google, you know, or YouTube videos about exposure therapy, so you can do it yourself. It's literally just face your fears. If you're scared of birds, go to a zoo and look at birds. You know, very simple. I know it's scary. For me, it's super scary, but you just have to heal. Why medication can reduce anxiety. Okay, let's go back to the 3 blocks, right? The first one is our thoughts. There are no anxiety, no medicine that can reduce your thoughts, right? Maybe something not directly, but you know, nothing very, you know, nothing that works straight on your thoughts. The next one is where actually people start prescribing different medicine. This is where the second block, hormones and neurotransmitters, serotonin, right? If you know, for example, Zoloft, antidepressants, Zoloft, it contains sertraline, which is a medication that levels up your serotonin So, you have to treat this problem and this problem. That's it, and that's how you can get rid of those body symptoms. Hopefully, I explained it well. So, in the end, I just want to say that anxiety is not a problem, it's not a defect, it's actually a very good mechanism of saving us from different danger. But you have to keep in mind that your anxiety may be hypersensitive. So if you are super anxious to do something, you have to do it. Eventually, you will have to do it, right? And actually, I wanted to say, just to add for myself, that sometimes we fear things that will never happen. For example, you are scared of flying. What if plane crashes? If you look into statistics, it happens so rarely. It basically happens like almost never. You have a very little chance of getting into a plane crash. So you can avoid flying. You can, like a lot of things, you will just make your life more complicated by avoiding things that you need, right? I've struggled so much, and I still do, and I try to rewind my brain, right? To not be afraid, but I am afraid that I will faint, I will get sick. So it overgrew into me getting scared of going out, right? And I'm very bad at eating, because what if I have to do something, what if I have to run and I have, I don't have energy because I just ate and my stomach is full. And actually, when I'm anxious, I don't have any appetite. And it is explained, right? I can explain it in my head. What if I have to fight back? What if I have to fight a bear? I don't need like food in my stomach. I don't need to be full. I need to be a little hungry, so I am, more, so I feel stronger, right? So anxiety is not bad. It is just a mechanism. You just have to deal with it, and me too. So I hope I helped you, and I hope this video essay was helpful for you. I'm really sorry if I made, for my accent, if I did made any mistakes. If you're here for the first time, please don't mind that, okay? So thank you for watching. I hope you